destabilizing force. I want to talk about a personal story. I went to Iraq for the first time. I lived in the region for about 5 years, and I speak Arabic. I went in 2003. And even at that early date, I was managing a program. We built a team of Iraqis to try to understand how do Iraqis view this situation. And at that early date, in the early summer of 2003, I would submit to you that we were viewed as occupiers rather than liberators by substantial portions of the Iraqi population. What analysts here in Washington saw as a lack of planning on the reconstruction front was interpreted by many Iraqis as perfect planning. And it makes sense when you think about it. A country as so obviously powerful as the United States should be able to do what it wants. And many of the quotes that we heard, our Iraqi researchers heard from, a man in Sutter City saying that the Americans, they want disorder and they want their companies to come and use our resources. This is a perception, and this is a perception that has become reality and has only grown as the U.S. has stayed there for nearly 4 years. If you look at the most recent BBC poll, 8 in 10 actually think that the U.S. presence is making the security situation worse or is not having any impact at all. 69% actually say it's making the security situation worse. A similar share, 8 in 10, says there's no confidence at all in the U.S. and Iraqi, U.S. and British forces. I bring these numbers up because it's not a popularity contest that we're in there, but to bring it up in terms of a point of efficacy. A lot of the proposals that say U.S. should remain to train or to do this or do that actually abstract from a reality that the U.S. military presence in Iraq is a major cause of the violence in Iraq. In fact, if you look at the figures from the Pentagon and from the intelligence agencies, and you look at the targets of the attacks, the vast majority of the targets of the attacks in Iraq to this day are U.S. troops. This is true even after Samarra. After the bombing of Samarra in February of 2006, with the vicious ethnic and sectarian cleansing, many of the things that were happening that we fear might happen if we leave, the U.S. troops still are the target of most of the attacks. And this raises a lot of points, just an advocacy point. Can we actually achieve a lot of what we hope to achieve with simply staying there and adapting our training programs or doing this or that? And what we're proposing in Strategic Reset is no. We need to wake up to the reality that a vast majority of the Iraqi public, and in fact the vast majority of the American public has now agreed to, is that the U.S. troop presence inside of Iraq is not going to help the situation get any better. I need to draw quickly to a close. I'll just leap to my third point. Regional diplomacy is not likely to yield the tangible results until Iraq's leaders and Iraq's neighbors understand that the U.S. troops are leaving. If you look at the record, and if you look at the conferences in Sharm el-Sheikh, in Baghdad in March of this year, these were wonderful steps in the right direction. It has not yielded a tangible result. We have an international compact for Iraq, which is a good tangible result, but you have many commitments that were made on donor reconstruction money, on, for instance, debt forgiveness for the U.S., commitments that have not been delivered. You have many commitments in committees, forming committees, for instance, 3 committees on regional security, border security, petrol, and a whole host of other things. And what we're saying in this reset plan is you've got to actually issue a date to get this regional diplomacy to work, to get the international diplomacy to work. The 2 components that we think are essential are, 1, a new UN resolution before the end of this year. The current resolution, which legitimizes the U.S. military presence in Iraq to this day, despite what Saudi King Abdullah might like to say about this, where he said the U.S. presence is illegitimate. Our presence is there legitimately. We need to use the forum of the United Nations and the structure of a UN resolution to actually move forward on a lot of the things that I think Carlos Pascual and a few others, including Larry and I, we've been debating. This is the core. This is get to that political solution. You need that legitimacy. And you're not going to get there. You're not going to get countries in the region. You're not going to get international powers to fully support this effort unless you say clearly we're going to leave, and we're leaving at a certain date. As Senator Voinovich, Republican from Ohio, said, is that we need to they need to know that we are genuinely leaving. I think all of a sudden the fear of God will descend upon them, and they will say we've got to get involved in this thing. And I believe that that's the case. And I actually give more credit to countries in the region to responsibly advance their own interests constructively. They won't do that until they know we're leaving. If we try to stay there and control events and control the situation and control the training. We cannot do it alone. We've tried to go it alone for the last 4 years. And what we, I think, propose in this strategic reset plan is a fundamental shift, a fundamental way of not only dealing with Iraq, but the Middle East. And I hope you take a look at it, because I think there's some good ideas there. I suspect some people may take these ideas and try to champion them. We hope that they do. But I think at the very least, these debates and these ideas are essential to actually getting this policy right. So, thank you.